Good morning, everyone, and I'm sure you guys are doing pretty good on Saturday morning. The much-awaited workshop, the art of storytelling, the power of stories, elevate your leadership and lead with the stories that inspire is live today, and without not much of time being wasted, I would like to introduce Ramandeep Kaur, the founder of Scribe and a brand storyteller and writer. So over to Ramandeep.
Thank you so much, Sushant, for such a warm welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome all of you in this beautiful presentation storytelling. Who doesn't like storytelling? We all have grown up listening to our Nani and Dadi ki kahaniya, haven't we? So I feel we all have a storyteller hidden in all of us. And we all have grown up listening to different stories. But today we are going to dive into the art of storytelling for leaders. Let me share my screen. Yes, from the earliest cave paintings to modern day brand campaigns, stories have shaped how we see the world, connect with one another, and drive change. But storytelling isn't just about entertainment, rather, it is about influence, inspiration, and impact. Stories aren't for just books and movies, but they are the most powerful force on planet to persuade, connect, and influence our minds, beliefs, and behavior. And that's why storytelling is one of the most powerful marketing and leadership tools. You must be here for a reason. What brings you here today? What is your why to attend this presentation? What is your story? Why storytelling incites you and excites you? What is your why here? Think about it. So, let me tell you in brief about myself. I founded Edscribe about 2.5 years back and help people with the brand storytelling, with the branding. And I started my journey as a writer. I was helping people, organizations working with brands as a content writer, have helped CEOs with the memoir writing. Moving further, I also wrote two books. One was the children's book, just physical fitness for teenagers. Why I wrote this book also has a story because my dad is a doctor, and there was always a talk of fitness in the house, and he always, since he's a child specialist, so when we were growing up, he always used to take good care of ourselves, and he himself is a great storyteller. So it inspired me to whatever I have gained from him to put it in a book. The second book, which I recently launched, was 60 Minutes Guide to Digital Communication. Again, the reason for writing this book is quite valid. I feel when I was working closely with business owners, one thing which I realized was the digital communication, which was not taken care of. By digital communication, I meant the messages were not clear. The communication was the most important gap which was there in businesses. So that prompted me to write this book on 60 Minutes Guide to Digital Communication. I'm not telling you or bragging you about all these things, but yes, why I wrote this book is, yes, I wanted that I should be able to reach out to business owners to help them understand why communication and how it helps in growing businesses. Storytelling is also a part of the brand storytelling in itself. So, before we begin the presentation, I wanted to tell you why I became a storyteller. So, once I was giving a storytelling session in the school, and the session was a combined session for parents and for children. So, while I was giving the presentation, after the story telling session, one parent walks up to me and say thank you. So I just saw that he must have thanked because of the he liked the session. I said thank you, I'm glad you liked the session. He said no, I want to thank you because you have taken out the storyteller in me, because i mm, I think that I am not a good parent because I never narrated stories to my child. So that thing actually, I would say that thing really hit me, and that was the turning point. From that day onwards, I decided that I should be taking this as forward as a storyteller. So that's how I call myself a storyteller, rather than, with a bunch of qualifications which I have. So storytelling is something which I'm really passionate about, and I have been doing it for quite a long time. But yes, that was the turning point when I started taking storytelling quite seriously. Along with me, I also have Sushant Ram, who's the founder of Authenticate Amplifiers Hub Private Limited. Sushant is a leadership coach and has a huge experience of about 20 plus years of as a leadership role. He serves KPMG as a director, also various other companies. Not only this, Sushant has also written a book on the leadership code. Apart from that, Sushant has also written The Guiding Light, which is a book beautifully written in the memory of his grandmom, Tales of Wisdom and Love from Grandmom. Moving further, well, there's a famous adage: those who tell the stories rule the society. This adage, said by Greek philosopher Plato about 2400 years ago, but it is still true. While I was taking career of storytelling forward, I was doing a lot of research, and while I was doing a lot of research, I came across an fascinating study which showed that when the brain of the speaker and the brain of the listener were taken together under MRI scan, you know what it showed? Any idea? Okay, let me tell you. So it showed that the scan had the same wavelength. You can see it has the same matching wavelength. The wavelength matched the same. Why? What was the reason? The reason was, when the storytelling is narrating any story, the listener was also imagining the same thing. Okay, let's do this exercise, all of us. Let's all close our eyes for 1 minute, and let's imagine we are going to a grocery store. Even I've closed my eyes. Let's imagine we are going to a grocery store, and in the grocery store, we are going to the fruit section. In the fruit section, I am going to pick up a Pineapple. The pineapple is yellow in color, and the slice, it has been cut in different slices, and it looks so fresh and juicy that I felt that I should eat it. Now, please open your eyes, all of you. So, don't you think you were salivating while you were thinking of pineapple? Yes, that's right. So, that means, but you were not in grocery store. I just asked you to imagine. That's how the storyteller and the listener's brain have that wavelength matching. The wavelength matches because the listener is taken to a visual imagery. So, neuroscience has confirmed that our brain has the capability of understanding the storytelling framework better than a data framework. For instance, if I show you the numbers in a presentation and explain you certain things, you might not be able to understand it. But if I explain you that data in the form of a story, you might be able to listen to it. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of a story. Imagine there is a boy named Matthew. Matthew had lot of trouble. Why? Because he was not able to memorize the names of different planets. He was trying, he was memorizing, but he was not able to remember. One day, his teacher narrated a story on planets. Said, Sun is really lonely. He needs friends. And you know who is Sun's first friend? That's Mercury. Now, Mercury and Sun became friends. Then, after some time, Venus joined in. And then Earth also joined in. So they became friends. So eventually, all the name of the planets were narrated by the teacher in the form of a story. And Matthew learned the planets' names just by the storytelling example. So, don't you think our brain has the capability of understanding this kind of storytelling network better than the data framework? Yes, that's right. The answer is yes. Stories do have power to connect emotionally, to project images which is there in our brain, which makes us understand why and how of certain things. So not only it is an art, but it is a kind of an engagement which can help leaders and brands to have that skill and develop their USP. You must be a great leader, but you don't have the power to communicate to your team effectively. You must be having a great brand, but your stories does not resonate with your audience. So, what is the lag then? The lag is the art of storytelling. Let's see some examples of how companies have been using storytelling. The story of iPod. Sushant, I would like you to make us aware of certain stories which have been used by Apple and certain other case studies. Would you like to?
Oh, absolutely, Ramandeep. Thank you so much. Guys, I mean, if we look at how HiPod got launched in, so if I'll just take you back what Steve Jobs mentioned during the release of iPod. He mentioned 1,000 songs in your pocket. So why did he mention 1,000 songs in your pocket? Before iPod got released, people were using older format to listen to these songs. I mean, the older format was like Walkman or audio cassettes or the older gramophone kind of a thing through which people used to listen to the songs and music. This is where Steve Jobs come. Steve Jobs announces that there is a device you can hold 1,000 songs, and that device is iPod. And then when he releases the first iPhone, he again mentions that iPod with intelligent communicator, which has internet and you can communicate. And that is how he integrates iPod and iPhone. So that's how the stories create a emotional experience. He's not selling the product. He's triggering the emotions. He's triggering the feelings. So that is one story. The second story is about Netflix. Now, Netflix completely revolutionized the entertainment industry. Now, before Netflix got launched in, we were living in the world of video rental agency kind of a thing, where people used to rent the videos or cassettes, and people used to watch movies. And this is where Netflix comes in, and Netflix says that you don't need to go to a video rental shop. Rather, we will mail you the CDs and you can watch the movies. And slowly from that stage, they directly moved on to a satellite version of OTTs kind of a thing. And this is where they said, like, okay, you can binge watch as many movies, whatever you can. So this completely revolutionized the entertainment industry. So every brand has a different story. Either they capitalized on the problem statement, or they capitalized on their strength and they enhance the product vision and value proposition. So that is how the stories create a bigger emotional experience on people's cognitive brain, which will trigger them to go and act on that value service. So that's about the thing. Now, I also wanted to take you through few of the bigger case studies where either these brands picked on the problem or they picked on their strength. So I'll take the example of Airbnb. Now, before Airbnb, the hotel industry was in a different value proposition altogether. Now, Airbnb, what the Airbnb do is Airbnb disrupted the entire hotel industry. Now, when people were looking for the budgeted hotels kind of a thing, Airbnb came up with the concept is if you have a property, that property can be easily converted to a budgeted hotel. And that is how the launch of Airbnb changed the overall spectrum of hotel industry, because people were looking out for a greater ambience with a budget, and the value proposition is still there. So it's on the economies of scale, like where you get a budgeted hotel, and you also get the greater ambience, and you get that customer service, and that is how your experience notches up, and you then give that viral story to the rest of the population, and they also try to utilize the same service. So that's one story. The second story is Uber. Now, before Uber got launched, the taxi industry was, I mean, it was completely on the owners in fixing the price. And this is where Uber utilized the technology, the aggregator platform, and they said like, I mean, if you have someone has a vehicle, you can just tag with my platform and still run on a budgeted note, and people will get the same kind of a service. So that clearly disrupted the entire the travel industry, because until Uber got launched in, it was more about the pricing, because I mean, all the taxi owners, they were charging a huge price, and customers did not had any other option either to use the service or not use the service. But the launch of Uber, it changed the overall spectrum. Now customers, they can choose the price. I mean, and they will get the same ambience, and it's a win-win. It's a win for the taxi owners, and it's also the win for the customers. So that's a sort of a story Airbnb and Uber created within hotel and the travel industry. Next slide, please. Uh, then comes two other different case studies. Now, Nike, before Nike got launched, and it had a huge competition. Now, huge competition from Puma, huge competition from Adidas, huge competition from other brands. Now, Nike never wanted to go in a conventional fashion where they advertise their brand and reach out to people. Rather, they developed a different strategy altogether. They came up with a slogan called "Just Do It." Now, what does "Just Do It" means? I mean, "Just Do It" is like they sponsor this for sports people. They encourage the sports people that no matter you win or you lose, you just take that effort. You be that, you have that spirit. You take that game on a killer note, and that familiarize that slogan across every industry, because I mean, "Just Do It" became so famous that Nike was recognized not only as a sports brand, but it was adopted by everyone. And that is how that slogan created that emotional feeling, and that feeling created a bigger story and a bigger brand. Then comes another story, Harry Potter. Now, J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, she published these stories in a capsule format, where she created a different series kind of a thing, and she reached out to a publishers, and publishers rejected her story. They said like, doesn't have any spice. It would not create any kind of a momentum in the industry. So she was rejected. She was rejected almost by 12 publishers, and she had that persistence that yes, it needs to move forward. I mean, I can't lose from over here. I've created a great story, and the story has to go to people. So there was one publisher who came to her and said like, you know what, we'll publish it. We will publish 500 copies. Now, that 500 copies paved way to over and above 500 million copies. So that is how the persistence and the power of stories will play in. If your story has a element to trigger the emotional feelings, then it will obviously create belief. Then belief leads to behavior, and behavior leads to an outcome. So that is what I wanted to showcase. Thank you so much, Ramandeep, for giving me this opportunity. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sushant. So, coming back to what makes a story powerful. Well, story can be a powerful. It once it engages the audiences emotionally. It should have a capability of clarifying complex ideas through relative narratives. Now, when I talk about narratives, what does narratives means here? Narrative could be a leader's story, since we are doing more of a leadership storytelling. So I'll talk about leaders here. So narrative could be where could be a leader's story, a story where he has overcome some challenge and he has brought some change. So Sushant has given us so many examples of the brand where from Harry Potter to Nike to Airbnb. So, what made those brands and those stories stand out was their persistence, their resilience, and of course, the brilliant storytelling. So, stories won't be powerful if there is no problem being solved. Like, for instance, if I am a leader, my job is that my communication should be crystal clear, that each and every person in my team understands and matches the wavelength the way I think. How will I make that possible? To make that possible, my story should be powerful. It should have a narrative which is understandable by my team. That is, I should be able to break down the complex information into simple ideas or narratives. Once that information is imparted to each and every member of the team, there is going to be a huge action. And when there is a concerted action, the change is going to be derived. Of course, what every story needs is, of course, there are characters, there is protagonist, there is antagonist. If I talk about Harry Potter, so there is a main character, there's another character. So if we are talking about leadership in storytelling, imagine the main character is a leader, and the leader's job is he has to come up with new ideas, with new strategies, so that the product or the service which he is intending to sell is able to get to the audience. How will that be possible? Who is the antagonist here? The protagonist is the leader, the antagonist is your market, your competitors. And you, as a leader, has to bring up new stories, new drives, new changes which can motivate your team. Either it could be through your personal anecdotes, or either it could be through your communication skills, or either it could be through your changes which you have brought in to make the story visible and understandable to each and every part of your team. So that means every story needs a character. The character is you. But just like Harry Potter has antagonist, has different other characters, even you would have that. But how you overcome those challenges, that is what a leader is. The gaps has to be filled. How we are going to fill those gaps? Of course, we are going to do it with the help of a structure. That's where the anatomy of storytelling is. Let's talk to you about narrative. How I am able to convert my data of figures and facts in the form of narrative that it is visualized by everyone. Like, for instance, I'm giving a presentation and I'm only and only talking about data. And half of the people in my team are not even able to understand what I'm speaking. Is my purpose solved as a leader? No, it isn't. So that's what the structure of storytelling is. Once that pain area and that gap is clarified, how to fill that gap is all that matters in the leadership. Whether it is about the clear messaging, it is about the communication skills, it is about the accountability, all comes into picture. So that's how the story cycle becomes once each and everything is being understandable. Once you have those stories, your message is clear, you have that experience of being in the market, delivering the product at the right time, connecting with your emotions, connecting emotionally with your team and with the audience. Obviously, the product would have belief that, yes, I want to buy this product. Do you imagine you're going for a shopping and your favorite brand is, let's say Zara. So being a lady, I'll just speak of the clothes brand. So why would I like Zara? Why? I have no clue how they make, how they. It's just because I have seen some good people wearing those clothes, and I could relate those things with myself. That's why I'll go to the store and buy products because that belief factor is there. So that's what human brain is made up of. Human brain can easily understand the connection. Once that is built by the leader, the behavior, the outcomes are driven by that. Authenticity and relatability automatically comes once all those things are taken care of in the leader. I'll give you one exercise which you can do at your place. Just think about that. What is stopping you as a leader? What is stopping you to take that role of a storyteller? Why you are not coming out of that comfort zone? Or maybe what makes you irreplaceable? Today everybody listens to you, you're good, but tomorrow if somebody else takes over you, he's more good, he has more communication skills, he is more able to relate to the teams, although his qualification is not as good as yours. So what is your plan B in that case? Have you ever thought about it? Think about it. Yes. So story framework is nothing but once we have undergone the story process, the story framework, and we have a fair idea that as a leader, we need to imbibe these certain skills in us which can help a team lead, then every problem which is there in front of you, which is thrown at you, will have a solution. And if you find out the solution of every problem, it is being benefited for everyone. But to follow this process, you need to deep dive into yourself first and understand your why. That's what I started in the beginning as well. What makes you join this and what makes you watch this video? What is your why? Which area are you struggling? Once you figure it out, then you can craft your own story. Why, what, when, where, all comes later once you have your clear why. Share your thoughts and why this storytelling excites you. Well, I'm so excited that this storytelling has been a great journey for me. And of course, I feel that each and every person of here has a story. So, keeping that thing in mind, we are doing a boot camp which will help you unlock your leadership superpower, and the details of which are flashed on the screen. You can note it down and can join in for the boot camp to transform your leadership and make it a superpower, because those who tell stories does lead the world. So, you want to be a leader or just a person who leads? Thank you for your time today, and I'm so glad that Sushant, we I was able to yes, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. Tony Robbins. So think about this today and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Ramandeep. It's been a great masterclass. I mean, there is so much of learnings. I mean, from a emotional perspective, from a creative perspective, and how certain brands had influenced different kind of stories,
Yes.
and how stories create that ultimate change in behavior and increase that belief and change the overall outcomes. And I've also posted in the comment section about the link people need to utilize to register for the boot camp. So guys, I mean, the boot camp is uh, gonna be a deep dive exercise. It's going to be a 3 hours masterclass. You would learn about the art of storytelling, the elements, how to use the story arcs, how to frame your stories. It also includes the top tier communication model, which the top leaders and the brand influencers use while communicating. It also includes the uh, accountability exercise, the Oz accountability. It's a new approach to increase, cultivate the accountability and own your results. It also has 4 free one-on-one sessions, two each for storytelling and communication, and two for accountability. And another freebie. There is so much of freebie we are trying to include. You will get an access to a community platform, which is a thriving platform wherein you will be able to connect, network, social feed, You can learn, you can share your best practice. So we are giving access to that community free, lifetime. So
That's excellent.
I would urge all of you to register for the boot camp. I can't wait for that boot camp to happen. In so excited because I mean, you have the best expert guys. I mean, you can't. I can't definitely explain. You have the best expert sitting beside me is Ramandeep. I mean, she would definitely enable you to be the powerful storyteller in your profession or in your personal space. So, with that being said, thank you so much for taking your time. I know it's Saturday. Irrespective of Saturday, you have taken time to attend this live stream. Itself means a lot. Itself means that you are investing in yourself, which is a great thing. And keep up that momentum. Let's rock together and let's create a bigger story in the society. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, Sushant. Bye.